Someone left a comment on my last video saying that my advice was bad for white belts. And if he hadn't used strength when he was a white belt, he would have just got tapped 10 times without learning a thing. And that's exactly the problem. Because that line, "I'll just get tapped and learn nothing," completely misses the point of what Jiu-Jitsu actually is. The entire art is built around learning from failure. It's practically the job description. If you're only using strength to avoid getting tapped, you're not learning Jiu-Jitsu. You're just learning to survive. But survival doesn't make you better. It just makes you frustrated and tired. It's like standing in front of a fireplace and demanding that it gives you heat before you add wood. So you blame the fireplace, you blame the art, you blame your instructor, when the real problem is your mindset and your approach. Because every tap is data, and every mistake is a clue, and every round is feedback that you can use. But only if you stop treating failure like it's something to be avoided. And that's what we're talking about today. Why this type of mindset is the very reason you're not improving in Jiu-Jitsu as fast as you should. Welcome to the Alchemy of Struggle, baby. I rarely respond to viewer comments directly in videos, but this one stuck with me because it captures a mindset that I see everywhere in Jiu-Jitsu. And so I feel compelled to address it. In response to my advice about slowing down to improve your Jiu-Jitsu, this viewer was like, sure, hindsight is 2020. That as a white belt, he only had strength, no skills. So either he used that or get tapped every 10 seconds and learn nothing. And on the surface, it actually sounds kind of reasonable. You use what you have in order to win. But it's actually the perfect example of why so many people stall early. And the irony is kind of wild, because the answer to the problem is hiding inside of the comment. Tap every 10 seconds and learn nothing. That part right there is the blind spot, because the truth of the matter is that every tap is the lesson. But the culture of tough rounds equals progress is what blinds people to it. We glorify surviving, pushing through it, and proving our toughness on the mats. Because no one wants to be the guy who gets tapped 10 times in a single round. But that fear of short-term failure is what robs you of long-term growth. And the real killers on the mats, those brown belts and black belts and purple belts, and even advanced blue belts, already learned that lesson the hard way. You're not paying $150, $200, $250 a month just to get tough. You can do that for free in just about any parking lot anywhere in America. Or go join Street Beefs. But what you're really paying for when you sign up for a Jiu-Jitsu class is accelerated hindsight. Someone else's years of trial and error, condensed into lessons that you can absorb faster. That's the entire point of having a teacher. But most people show up, ignore the lessons, and just fight harder. It's like paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for an education at a top-tier university, then skipping all the lectures and studying Cliff Notes instead, then wondering why you're not getting smarter. Real progress does not come from courage and toughness alone. It comes from curiosity. Every tap, every failed sweep, and every bad position is data, not a setback. 10 taps in a single round? That's 10 data points that you can learn from. But most people panic, muscle through it, and erase the feedback that their body's trying to give them. So many of us train Jiu-Jitsu like we're soldiers. Fight, survive, rinse, and repeat. But the real progress comes from training like a scientist. Test, observe, and adjust. If you're too busy trying to win every round at any cost, you're destroying the evidence that could actually make you better. The scientist fails constantly, but each failure is logged, studied, and refined. That's what separates the seasoned technician from the forever scrapper. The scrapper's learning stops at survival, but that seasoned technician never stops learning. And that's where this all comes full circle. Because some people still think the smooth is fast mindset is only for advanced belts. But that's like saying you shouldn't learn good habits until you're already good. That is circular reasoning at its worst, and it's everywhere in Jiu-Jitsu. If you want to actually get better at Jiu-Jitsu, and really at anything in life, You need 3 core beliefs hardwired in. Number 1, you have to believe that the skill you're after actually exists. Yes, that beautiful armbar is out there because I've seen it. Number 2, you have to believe that if you keep showing up and paying attention, that you will develop that skill. Yes, I'll eventually get there, but it's going to take time. Number 3, and this is probably the most important one, you have to believe that it's worth all the effort and the frustration to get there. Yes, when I finally execute that armbar, it will be worth all the effort. These beliefs are critical because they dictate how you move, not only on the mats, but through life itself. And that third belief about frustration is the hardest because when you're in it, it feels like it's never going to end. But we need to talk about what frustration really is before we continue, or else you'll never get the rest of this stuff. Frustration is just the result of failed expectations. You expect one thing, reality gives you something else. And that gap between the two is where frustration lives. Sometimes that gap fuels you to try harder, and other times it breaks you and makes you quit. But the trick is learning how to manage it, to set more reasonable expectations for where you are right now. When I was getting smashed by that brown belt that I talked about in the last video, my goal wasn't to win, but to defend intelligently. And that's exactly what I did, and I walked off the mat satisfied. And that's the part that's so difficult, but it's also the part that forges real understanding. The reps, the retries, and yes, all those times that you get tapped out. I remember when I was 14 years old, I started training in Shōrin-Goju karate. And for the first 2 weeks, my sensei made me sit in the corner and do stretches the entire class while everyone else learned how to punch and kick. I absolutely hated it and thought it was a waste of my time. He was preparing my body for what was to come. Had he immediately thrown me into the deep end, I probably would have ripped a muscle or injured a training partner. Sound familiar? It's the same thing here. So before being thrown into the deep end against other spazzy white belts, focus on getting the basics and fundamentals first. And eventually you're even going to plateau. It's true for everyone who trains Jiu-Jitsu, which is a different level of frustration. But if you're focused on learning instead of just fighting, every plateau sits higher than the one before it. And with the right mindset, those drop-offs should sting less. And the climbacks should come faster. And that's what the road to mastery actually looks like. Not a smooth, steady incline, but a long, jagged, uneven staircase. So stop demanding results before you've earned the right to understand the process. Put the wood in the fireplace and feed the flame. And the heat will eventually follow if you remain patient, consistent, and set proper expectations. And if you haven't seen the video that sparked the comment that inspired this video, it'll be linked at the end. And if any of this at home, check out some of the free downloads in the description. Or if you want to go deeper, join the channel membership. And as always, I want to thank the members, the subscribers, and all of you who comment on these videos for helping me level up this content. But remember, there are others who need this message, so let's help them find it. Like, share, and subscribe. Keep up the good fight and stay safe on those mats. Peace.